Welcome back to Philosophy Matters. This is Professor Joe once more in this episode, where today we reflect on one of humanity's oldest and deepest questions. Does God exist? And if so, how can we know this through reason? What is the philosophy of religion? The philosophy of religion is part of metaphysics, or is a metaphysical study that uses reason, not faith, to explore the existence and nature of God. It's different from theology. Theology starts with belief. It assumes that God exists and then reflects on divine truths through revelation and sacred scripture. Philosophy of religion, however, begins with reason. It investigates God's existence without assuming it. Here the question is not what does God reveal, but can we prove God's existence using reason, logic, and observation? Philosophy of religion belongs to natural theology, meaning it seeks to understand the divine without relying on any specific religious text like the Bible for Christians or the Quran for the Muslims. It asks, can God's existence be demonstrated rationally? What is the nature of God? And if God is all-powerful and all-good, how do we explain the existence of evil and suffering? Two major approaches, ontology and cosmology. Ontology is simply a study of being. It approaches the being of God, or the nature of the being of God, and from there we extract its existence. This approach uses a priori reasoning, or a rationalist approach, to know God using argument of reason in the being of God. Cosmology uses the physical and material world as demonstration of the existence of God as the cause, origin, or creator. This uses a posteriori reasoning, or an empiricist approach, to know God by experiencing the universe with its complexities and thus points to its creator and origin. Philosophers have developed multiple rational methods to approach the divine. Let me develop the two central approaches to God's existence, the ontological and cosmological arguments. First, Anselm and the ontological argument. Let's begin with Anselm of Canterbury, circa 1033 to 1109 AD. A key figure in the scholastic tradition of medieval philosophy. Anselm's motto was Fides Quaerens Intellectum, faith-seeking understanding. His famous ontological argument, found in the Proslogion, circa 1078 AD, starts with a definition of God. God is that which nothing greater can be conceived. This argument is a priori rationalist approach, meaning it begins purely in the mind. Anselm reasoned that even a fool can understand the idea of a perfect being. However, if this greatest possible being exists only in the mind, then a greater being could be imagined, one that exists both in the mind and in reality. Therefore, if God is truly the greatest, God must exist not only as a concept, but as a reality. The starting point is reason alone. The method is logic. The project is to show that God's existence is necessary by definition. Even today, Anselm's ontological argument challenges us to think. Is existence a necessary part of what it means to be the greatest? Second, Aquinas and the cosmological argument. In contrast, Thomas Aquinas, circa 1225 to 1274 AD, also a scholastic philosopher, chose a posteriori method, starting from the physical world. In his Summa Theologica, Aquinas offers 5 ways to prove God's existence based on observation. Motion. Everything in motion is moved by something. There must be an unmoved mover, God. Efficient causality. Every effect has a cause. Tracing causes backwards, we reach a first cause. God, the uncaused cause, contingency. Since all things are contingent, could not exist, there must be one necessary being, God. Gradation. We judge things as better or worse. There must be a perfect standard, God. Design, teleology. The universe shows order and purpose. This implies an intelligent designer, God. The starting point is the observable world. The method is empirical reasoning. The project is to trace causes, motion, order, and purpose back to a first necessary being, God. You may have heard that the fifth argument of Aquinas talked about design or teleology. This is called the teleological argument and design. The teleological argument, or argument from design, was developed further by William Paley, 1743 to 1805. He famously compared the universe to a watch. If you find a watch on the ground, you know it was made by a watchmaker. Likewise, the complexity and precision in nature point to an intelligent designer, God. In modern times, this idea continues through arguments from fine-tuning. The universe's physical constants appear perfectly calibrated for life. The odds of this happening by chance seem astronomical. These patterns, purposes, and intelligible structures suggest that our universe is not random, but designed. The challenge of atheism and the problem of evil. Of course, not everyone accepts these arguments. Two major challenges confront the rational case for God. Atheism, the belief that there is no God, often citing lack of empirical evidence. The problem of evil. If God is all good and all powerful, why does evil and suffering exist? This challenge leads to a central theme in the next chapter, theodicy, explaining how a good God and evil can coexist. Philosophy of religion doesn't ignore these challenges, it engages them. It's not just about arguments for God, but about deeply examining objections as well. Key distinctions: faith versus reason. Let's pause to review. Theology begins with faith and seeks understanding through revelation. Philosophy of religion begins with reason and asks whether faith can be justified logically. Natural theology is reason applied to the divine, while revealed theology is grounded in Scripture and tradition. This distinction matters because it determines how we approach questions of God, not from belief, but from critical thinking. Final takeaways. Philosophy of religion is a rational inquiry. It does not preach, but provokes thought. Anselm's ontological argument begins with the idea of God as the greatest conceivable being and concludes that such a being must exist. Aquinas' cosmological arguments start from the world around us: motion, cause, contingency, and purpose, and reason toward God as the necessary origin. Teleological arguments suggest that the intricate design of nature points to a purposeful designer. Atheism and the problem of evil challenge these arguments and require deeper engagement, which philosophy of religion welcomes. In exploring the divine through reason, the philosophy of religion doesn't seek to replace faith, it seeks to enrich it. Whether through logic, causality, or purpose, it shows us that the question of God is not only a spiritual one, but also a deeply philosophical one. Thank you for watching. Until next episode of Philosophy Matters, we will develop the problem of atheism and problem of evil related to philosophy of religion. Thanks.